Well, folks, here it is. It's a long time coming. I've been promising it for ages. I've been working on it for ages. But today, we are finally doing it. We are going to be going through the big stack of CDs by the almighty King's X. And I've got this King's X, The Oral History by Greg Prato. And a bit of Wikipedia to help me out. And yeah, I've been looking forward to doing this for a long time. So, yeah, I've got notes, books, CDs, and a bottle of Nuki Brown to get us through it. So, yeah, where do we start with King's X, really? What makes their sound so great? I mean, there are bands where I only really got into them properly about 2 years ago. And it's just, do you ever get into a band where you're just like, where has this band been all my life, you know? And I first became aware of them, really, ages ago with the Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey soundtrack. And I always was aware of them and, you know, nothing really sparked my interest before until I kept seeing them being brought up. And I remember asking on a Facebook music page, like, where's a good place to start with them? And they all said, you know, start at the beginning and just work your way along. There isn't really a wrong answer when it comes to King's X. And yeah, I tend to agree. I mean, when we go through it, we'll go through album by album, and I think things get a little bit wobbly in the middle with a couple of albums, but that tends to happen with a back catalogue this long. But yeah, there's never a complete train wreck of an album, you know. And yeah, they're just a fantastic band, and with a phenomenal collection of songs, you know. So I'm really looking forward to getting into this and hopefully discussing with you what you like about this band, and hopefully get some people to discover it and get into them, because yeah, this is just some real beautiful music that we're going to be talking about now. So what for the uninitiated, what's good about King's X? I mean, if you took sort of later day Rush, sort of from Counterparts onwards, so you got that sort of heaviness, but there's like a sort of open, expansive sounds to them, and they know how to use a good heavy riff when needed, but they're far, you know, they've got so much more going for them than just being a standard rock band. But they are undoubtedly a rock band. They've got the variety of different styles and different, you know, styles of songwriting. You know, there's beautiful acoustic songs, but then there's real heavy, big grooves, and they're basically a rock band with a soul singer. Doug Pinnick's vocals are just, you know, he sings like a soul singer, you know, and Ty Tabor's vocals as well. He sings like John Lennon. And the two harmonise perfectly, just like Paul McCartney and John Lennon, just like Lane Staley and Jerry Cantrell. They complement each other brilliantly, and as the catalogue goes on, they sort of split up. So there'll be Doug songs and Ty songs, and they take the lead vocals. Their fantastic drummer, Jerry Caskill, takes vocals as well on the odd song here and there. And he does a Ringo. And yeah, I think that's the best way to describe it, really. It's a rock band with a soul singer, because Doug could do a soul album, you know, on his own. And all three as well, just like with Rush, are just fantastic musicians and great songwriters all round. And the, you know, underrated gets thrown around so much, but they truly are. I think they were sort of both ahead of their time and behind the time at the same time, if that makes sense. But I think all of their back catalogue has aged wonderfully, and yeah, when you go through this book, you know, every band just loves them, from people like Charlie Benenti to Andy Summers from The Police to the members of Pantera. They had a big influence on Pantera. Apparently Lane Staley had Doug Pinnock in mind when he was recording the chorus to Rain When I Die. you know, Doug was friends with Chris Cornell. I think a lot of those early grunge bands liked the sounds of King's X. It's quite famously now that Pantera wanted basically took the first King's X album to the studio when they're recording Cowboys from Hell, and Dimebag said, like, I want my guitars to sound like this, you know. And yeah, they're just all round a fantastic band. So I suppose I'll go into a bit of history of the formation of the band and then go from there. So the band kind of formed in the 80s. I'm a little bit rusty, but between, I think you have Jerry and Doug were playing together, but then Ty and Jerry were playing in another band, and then they kind of came together. They started playing. I think it was Doug and Jerry started playing in Petra, which is that's another thing I've got to say, is that they're known in the Christian rock or Christian metal circles, but the band have distanced themselves from that since, and because I think when it comes to Christian rock and Christian metal or any other sort of Christian music, the artists tend to ghettoize themselves, and I think they wanted to break away from that, but at the same time were sort of found themselves held to different standards by different people, and just wanted to break away from that label just so the music could be judged on its own. And I think the individual members of the band's beliefs changed over the years. I think it's more of a case of personal faith rather than following a religious dogma and religious groups and whatnot that they wanted to distance themselves from, especially like in America, where you have these big sort of evangelical mega churches and so on and so forth. But the Christian label isn't unwarranted, because they did start out in the Christian scene. So yeah, going forward, the details might be slightly different in this, but I think I'm more or less on the. I'm not too far off the spot, but I think Jerry Castrell and Doug first. Gaskill. Jerry Gaskill. Sorry, Jerry Gaskill and Doug started playing as a rhythm section for Petra, who are a huge Christian metal band. And but then Ty and Doug first started playing in the backing band for Phil Keaggy, and who's again big in the Christian rock scene. I've only got one of his albums. I've got his debut album, What a Day, and this is fantastic. And if you like George Harrison's All Things Must Pass, give this a try. Is the best thing I can say there. It's a real beautiful, a nice beautiful mellow album. So they were playing in his backing band, and then I think Doug and Jerry were playing in Petra. I think they did one tour with them, may even done an album. But I also know that Ty did play. I haven't even introduced the individual members ever. I'm all over the place. Yeah, so you got Doug Pinnock on bass and vocals, Ty Tabor on guitar and vocals, and then Jerry Gaskill on drums, who occasionally sings a song. But yeah, Ty Tabor and Doug Pinnock also played on an album by Morgan Cryer. That's Cryar. And yeah, in 1986 they played on an album called Fuel on the Fire. And I think, I'm not quite sure how involved they were. I think Doug played a bit of bass on the album, but I think Ty did a bit of writing for the album as well. So they know each other from playing backing bands for established artists, and then they eventually come together. I guess Doug played with both at some point, and then, yeah, I'm not sure the exact moment that the three came together, but they formed a three-piece, and they started out as The Edge, and then they became Sneak Preview. And Sneak Preview actually did record an album, but it was never released, but you can get it now, basically as a bootleg. And I'm just going to quickly look up when that came out. Well, it never officially came out, but yeah, The unofficial first King's X album was actually under the name Sneak Preview, which was recorded in 1984. A couple of those songs have been re-recorded in King's X, though. So, yeah, that's a very summed up, quick summary of how the band formed. But yeah, from playing in backing bands, forming The Edge, evolving into Sneak Preview, they eventually evolved into King's X. And I've got an excerpt from the book here. Is this what the name? Yeah, so this is Jerry Gaskill. We still didn't have a name. We were throwing out different ideas, and I think at one point Sam mentioned King's X. I think maybe his brother was in a band called King's X. I don't really even know. Somehow King's X was thrown into the pile. I remember thinking, well, it doesn't really have any certain meaning. It might be cool. At one point, I think Sam said, so are we King's X or what? And I got up and said, yeah, we're King's X. Then Ty chips in. I had a whole different bunch of meanings. Sorry, it had a whole bunch of different meanings. And when it was presented to us originally, it was Sam Taylor. Right, Sam Taylor was the band's original manager and also produced the band's first 4 albums. So the first 4 albums are known as the Sam Taylor era. So it was Sam Taylor who suggested it because he had a whole bunch of names that we didn't like, including King's X, to be honest. King's X didn't really strike us as a great name, but Sam said, look, my brother used to be in a band called King's X that split up years ago. They wouldn't mind if they wouldn't mind us having a name if we wanted. But King's X is the name of a game in Texas from the old times. It's like tag. And a King's X is a safety where you get a break. And we thought, well, it's pretty cool connotation to the name. And other people took it as Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. And Christians look at it as King and looked at it as King and the Cross. And yeah, in fact, I know someone actually thought the band was called King's Cross, not King's X. But yeah. And then Doug, typical fashion. I never really liked the name, ever. But it's our name, and people got used to it. So, yeah, they get come under Sam Taylor's wing. He's managing the band, and like I say, he goes on to produce the first 4 albums, sorry. And yeah, so when do we have? The 1988, we had the first proper King's X album, and this is Out of the Silent Planet. And again, with a Christian label, Out of the Silent Planet takes its name from a C.S. Lewis book. And this awesome album cover was basically just wanted to take in the sort of expansive horizons of Texas, because they are a Texas band. And it suits it nicely, really, because this is a great song to drive to, especially on long roads, long highways. And yeah, this, as far as first albums go, I mean, this is just nearly a perfect debut album. And the reason it's so good is because the band had matured and cut their teeth in other projects and in other bands. I think Doug may have even already been in his 30s when this was recorded. Bear with me. We've got a long way to go, folks. So that's my fuel. And we're going to be... I think this is going to be my guide as well. It's how when I start getting to the end of this pint, it's like, yeah, maybe you might want to start wrapping it up, because I could go on forever. So shout out to Helly and David, by the way, and congratulations on your wedding. And yeah, let's get into it. So Out of the Silent Planet, it's 42 minutes long, 10 songs, 10. Yeah, that's what you want on a debut album, just 10 songs, throwing everything they have at you. It's got this beautiful, expansive open road feel. Big influence on grunge as well. There's echoes of U2, echoes of Rush. There's a lot of soul in it, a lot of Beatles influence, especially in the harmonised vocals, as I mentioned earlier. Ty Tabor has amazing guitar solos on it. There's a big 80s feel to this as well. Even though it's 1988 when it comes out, it's got a very... It still feels like the 80s. And it's got that sort of 80s drum sound to it. And I'm just going through the catalogue here because I've got a feeling that I got the date wrong. But let's... No, 1988. I was right. Yeah. So, yeah, Power of Love is another great example. I mean, opens up with In the New Age, and it opens with this beautiful sort of expansive sort of ambient guitar feedback, I suppose. Picture now like some desert where you see like a car coming in the distance, and the horizon's all blurry, and then it just focuses in, and then it just kicks in. And it's just, it's got this nice thick groovy riff going through it. Then you got Ty comes in with the verse vocals, and then it's like Ty gets the song in like to third or fourth gear, and then Doug takes over for the second verse and just picks the band up, and they just take off and fly, and then they fly for the rest of the album. And in the New Age, amazing album opener. Then we go into the second track, which is one of the band's most known songs, the absolutely gorgeous Goldilocks. Totally beautiful song, very moving, very melodic, big beautiful chorus. We're at the point now where the band plays this song live and they don't even sing it. They just play the song and the crowd just carries it for them. It's a classic song and a real beautiful song. Power of Love kicks in nicely with a dun dun dun, this great bass, and just carries on where the second track left off. Big chorus as well. Again, I'm going to be saying big chorus a lot in this video. Wonder. It's an acoustic track. Well, it starts off acoustic. Got a bit of a country, maybe even like a stonery feel to it before stoner became a thing. But kicks in nicely once it does kick in, and it's got a nice big groove. Nice, awesome, thick riff on it. King was a regular set opener for quite a while. Another great song. You Are the One, the chorus, and then with Ty's yeah. And Ty has this tendency as well, once he gets a chorus going a couple of times, he just goes off, does this big high pitched, but it's really infectious. But what is this? Is again another big groove. It's quite trippy. What is it that gives us hope in the chorus? Great lyrics. And then far away, Doug's vocals on that, where again, perfect harmonized vocals, where Ty sort of sings the chorus. So better yesterday, far away, and then as he says that, Doug just comes out the back and just flies off by going far away, and the notes he hits is just inhuman. So Shot of Love, great chorus on that one as well. Again, it's a nice Beatles chorus with the to the sea, wherever we may be. These songs, you sing along to them like nursery rhymes. They're so infectious. And then, the Visions, awesome on this one. Goes into a big jam. It's like a nice jammy riff in the beginning of that. And it's normally at the end of their set list as well, because they can sort of unplug and have a bit of fun. So that's the first one down. A year later, 1989, we get what's considered by many as the band's masterpiece. We get Gretchen Goes to Nebraska. And although the first album's called Out of the Silent Planet, the first track on this album is called Out of the Silent Planet. And this basically expands, well, it just picks up where the first album left off, really. It takes the opening track, Out of the Silent Planet. It takes its time, but it's a bit of an odd opener, really, for an album. But it's one of those ones, it's a bit odd to open an album, but it's like, where else on the album could you put it, But when it gets to where it's going, it does work. It's an odd song, but it works in its own weird way. There's like some sort of Middle Eastern flavour in the guitars as well. But strange song, but once you get used to it, it's really good. Then we got arguably two of the band's biggest hits. You've got the fantastic Over My Head, which is just a classic. Great subject matter on that as well, which I can't really go into just because I get it, but I can't quite put it into words, so I'll let you look into that myself. But it was basically based on Doug's grandmother, who was a gospel singer, and being blessed with the Holy Spirit, you're surrounded, and if you reach a certain point of prayer and getting in touch, really, you'll hear music over your head. Is basically what the. But it's a great, catchy song, extremely infectious. And then you've got the sort of melancholic classic that is Summerland. Both songs are classics. If you do know King's X, they'll be some of the first songs you know. In fact, I would argue Summerland you probably even know without even realising it, because it's on rock radio all the time. Everybody knows it's got a nice funky verse with a big Beatles chorus. The Difference, mainly acoustic, but again, beautiful harmonies on that one. Mission is another great song, classic. A classic song that's sort of critical of Big Church. Fall on Me, and yeah, another really good riff on that one. Great chorus. I can't even pronounce this. Pleiades, I think it is. It's another regular in the band's live set. Nice, big and heavy, and it's got like this these sort of epic sort of harmonies in the vocals. And then the Burning Down, it's got that, it kind of finishes with an epic really, and it kind of goes into this sort of drony, spaced out sort of ambient ending, which is pretty cool. But overall, this is a more mature effort. It's got more layers, but it shows big signals of growth as songwriters, really. And straight on again, a year later in 1990, we have Faith, Hope, Love. I did know the title, I just can never remember what order they go in. This has got a pretty cool album cover, actually. It goes without being said as well that the band toured relentlessly, and you name the band, they opened for them at this point. It's during on this, in terms of London, apparently their first sold out show was actually at London in the Marquee under the Out of the Silent Planet tour, and then with Gretchen Goes to Nebraska, they headlined the Astoria, which you can get now on DVD, the legendary Astoria. Many an awesome night I've had there. Now, on the surface, you would think, that's just 3 words in yellow writing, but when you close right up, you see there's loads of etchings, illustrations, I don't know. And again, it's all biblical. So, they can't really dismiss the Christian label too much. But this... Some people would say Gretchen Goes to Nebraska is the band's masterpiece, but again, many others would consider this to be. I think this is probably their most accomplished musical statement, so to speak. There was talk, apparently, of them doing a tour later on where they would do this album in full. I would be happy with any of the first 3 albums to be played before. I'd happily go to that show. But I do think the songs on this do work individually, and there are all good songs. But I do think, you are doing yourself a service if you set some time aside and listen to this as one sitting, in one listen, because this is a pretty powerful body of work. And in some ways, I do think the band did sort of peak in their songwriting, and I suppose this is, again, there's kind of proggy elements to King's X, but they were never full on prog. But I think that's as close as they got on this album. This is a thick old book, really. I forgot to mention, so Out of the Silent Planet is 10 songs. It was 42 minutes. Gretchen Goes to Nebraska was 12 tracks for 52 minutes, and this is 13 tracks, and it's just over an hour long. Let's get that the right way up. So you're seeing the songs and the music expand, and there's more of it. So, and this kind of works. It's not a concept album, but it works as a concept album. If you know what I mean. Like The Wall, you have to listen in one go. You have to put it aside, you know. And yeah, it's like I say, it's an hour long, but it pays off. It's worth listening to in one sitting. So it features Moan Jam as well, which is they refer to as their Motorhead song. Legal Kill. It's a beautiful acoustic song, but with a pretty serious subject matter. We're Born to Be Loved. I mean, that's a classic by the band. The title track has this sort of big epic climax to it, and yeah, I mean, Faith, Hope, Love. The title track is sort of like this. It's just under 10 minutes, really, and again, it's a big epic that closes the album. And that's really like the album's climax, while Legal Kill is the epilogue, if that makes sense. But yeah, again, We Are Finding Who We Are. It's love, beautiful song. I'll Never Get Tired of You. Yeah, it's all the way through. There's just fantastic, fantastic songs. And yeah, the band really do just hit a peak in terms of like song structure and songwriting. And yeah, I think it's a crowning achievement in a lot of ways. And yeah, things then move on. We're in 1992 now. And then we got the band's fourth self-titled album. And this will be the last album they do with Sam Taylor, both as a producer and as their manager. And again, things just carry on. I think things slightly take a dip. Not a lot. But you can tell the band are a bit restless on this album. So it's not as immediate as the first three albums, but it is a grower. I Know What I Know is a good... What I Know About You, is it? No, well, yeah, What I Know About Love, sorry. Has this sort of industrial feel to it. There's a real sort of dirty bass and a sort of mechanic drum pattern to it, which is... yeah, the sort of mechanic drum pattern to it. It's got like got a bit of an industrial feel to it. Blazing solo on it though, and Lost in Germany and Black Flag are obviously two classics by the band. And yeah, Dream in My Life, the second from last track, is a beautiful acoustic song as well. Nice dreamy song. And yeah, the off the back of that as well, we then get the band contributed a song. I don't know if it was left off of King's X. Did I even show you the album cover for that? Sorry. Yeah, fourth album. There's the... So, again, this is... I don't think it was... Doug actually liked the album artwork anyway, but he added some bits to it because it reminded him of a Bible verse of eating the crumbs from the king's table. So you've got the child picking up the crumbs, but if you see there where the child's hand is, you can subtly see the band's logo. But yeah, I don't know if this the song I'm about to talk about was written during this session and just didn't make the album, or if it was during Faith, Hope, Love. But the band had a song left over one way or the other, and they recorded it. And what was it called? No, it's not Tommy the Cat. Junior's Gone Wild. And they contributed it to Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. And it's a great song. So at this point, the band split with Sam Taylor, and they get a new manager whose name escapes me, but he was Rush's manager. And he set them up with a new record label and set them up with Brendan O'Brien. And Brendan O'Brien was obviously cutting his teeth and making his name as being a producer of Pearl Jam, Stone Temple Pilots, so on and so forth. He's now gone on to do Bruce Springsteen and a load of big names. So grunge had taken off at this point as well. And I think grunge had inspired... a lot of those grunge bands were inspired by King's X, but King's X were inspired by what these bands would go on to do. So Brendan O'Brien, obviously cutting his teeth with Pearl Jam and Stone Temple Pilots, he was a fan of King's X and wanted to work with them. So new management, new record label, new producer, and they produce another classic, a later day classic by them, and it's Dogman. Not much really to say about this. It's a 10 out of 10 album. Every song on it is awesome. But what's great about this album, what Brendan captures, is the band's live feel. The band have always been relentless tourers. And as I like the first 4 albums, but the band always felt that there was an 80s feel to it, and there was a certain way as Sam Taylor produced albums, which was fine. It worked for those albums. But here, it sounds like a live band. It feels like you're in a rehearsal studio with a microphone in the middle. Just sound some photos out. And yeah, I mean, when Dogman kicks in, you know, just opens up. It's just vocals, and then just Jerry's drums, like bum bum ba bum ba bum, dun 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 dun, you know, and yeah, Ty's riffs and Jerry's drums, just he backs up Ty's riffs perfectly. Jerry is, I think Charlie Benetti compares him to Ringo Starr, because he says, you know, Ringo Starr was Charlie Benetti. He says Charlie Benetti's he's one of Charlie Benetti's favourite drummers, but he said not because of his, you know, technical playing. Like he's not Neil Peart or Michael Portnoy or something like that. But Ringo played what was perfect for the song, and that's what Jerry does in King's X. You know, much like you know, people. Lars Ulrich gets a lot of bad press, but Lars Ulrich is the perfect drummer for Metallica, and Jerry is the perfect drummer for King's X. And yeah, it's just packed. Every song on this is just brilliant. I could sing choruses and say this riff is great, but it doesn't matter. It's all one thing as well. This does finish with a pretty cool cover of Manic Depression by Jimi Hendrix. Doug would go on to do a Jimi Hendrix tribute EP. Yeah, Doug Pinnock's tribute to Jimmy. So we'll get to solo stuff in a bit, but yeah, if you want to hear Doug Pinnock sing more Jerry. If you want to hear Doug Pinnock sing more Jimi Hendrix songs, check out that album. Yeah, tribute to Jimmy, often imitated but never duplicated. Check that out. So, yeah, another digression. I had someone on Facebook the other day say I digress too much. Well, you know, I don't make TikTok videos, mate. How about you getting attention span? How about that? So yeah, 10 out of 10 album. I'd say it's a classic that matches the first 3 albums, but it's a classic in a new era, if you know what I mean. When did this album come out as well? Let me have a look. It's not on the back here. I want to say 1992. But I think we've gone past that now. No, 1994. There you go. I was slightly wrong. And this album is just under an hour as well. Oh, that was it as well, because Faith, Hope, Love is over an hour long. It's just over the hour. While King's X, the self-titled, is literally 10 minutes shorter. So things are tightened up on that 4th album. I did mean to add that. I haven't got an editor, folks, and I'm flying off the handle. Well, not off the handle. I'm just shooting from the hip. None of this is scripted. I've got a couple of notes with bullet points, but yeah, pretty much what you see is what you get on this channel. So, where are we now? Carrying on where they left off, really. 1996, Ear Candy, and this is produced by Arnold Lanni, who I don't know much about, to be honest. Well, Ear Candy. Cool psychedelic flavoured artwork there. Nice and colourful. And it's all throughout the artwork as well. Now, I mean, yeah. Can you tell that this album came out in 1996? So, was it 96 or was it... I'm getting confused now. Yeah, Ear Candy's 1996. So, This album, I think, is quite underrated, actually. It doesn't seem to get the love that it deserves. But I think its biggest problem is that it follows a classic. And I just nearly launched my beer then. That would have been... Here we go. I'm going to create a bit of room on my desk. And, right, let's get into it. Ear Candy. The Train. Nice, breezy, open road song. Thinking and Wondering. Nice, clean acoustic to begin with. Nice percussion. It's mellow. This is a mellow album. In fact, this is an album to listen to in the autumn. That's the best way I can sum this up. It's a nice, breezy, laid back album. Excuse me. Sometime as a grungy sort of 70s loose, jammy vibe to it. A Box is a melancholy song. There is no room in the side box. Chorus. But yeah, it's got a nice sort of psychedelic solo towards the end of it as well, The Box. Check that one out. Looking for Love, another classic. Funky, it's catchy, great chorus. The drums hit harder. Yeah, the drums hit harder on the studio version of this. I found the studio version is heavier than any live renditions I've heard. Mississippi Moon is a nice breezy song with Ty on lead vocals. 67 has got this sort of jaggedy song with a spoken word or kind of rap by Doug. But again, big chorus. And Lies in the Sand. Mellow is nice and mellow. And it's a melancholic track as well. Run has a bit of a Counting Crows feel to it. It's got that nice sort of 90s mainstream rock feel. Kind of a bit of REM in style as well. But it's a nice breezy number. And the song like Fathers as well. This is what's so great about them is that there's a vulnerability to King's X, especially Doug. Well, no, they're Ty as well, to be honest. They're not scared to be vulnerable and honest and raw. And a song like Fathers is, just a real brutally honest song about a dysfunctional family, but in a way that all families are a little dysfunctional in their own way. You know, Doug just puts it out there and sort of goes, "We've got our problems, but we love each other," and it's refreshing to hear. American Cheese has got a Beatles feel to it as well. Then Picture, same sort of thing. It's kind of the other half of the other side of the coin to Fathers, but Picture is got Counting Crows feel to it with a sort of psychedelic outro, and the lyrics are how him and a load of distant family members got together for the first time in years and took a photo, and that picture is his favourite picture now. You know, it's like just reading you a diary. And then Life Going By again is nice and melancholic. But yeah, this is an underrated gem in the catalogue, and I do think it's perfect listening for autumn. Right, new era of the band. Right, after this, the bands get basically dropped from their record label. But they do put out a best of King's X with 3 new tracks on it. I've not got that album, and I've not heard those tracks. I'm pretty sure they're good. That's that. Moving on. Again, we've got another new record label. So at this point, the band's signed to Metal Blade Records, and they do 3 albums and a live album. And I don't know where to show you this. Let's just go with it one at a time. Yeah, it's fine. So yeah, basically you got the next 3 albums starts a new era from the band, and it's basically they're on Metal Blade Records, and Tybor becomes the producer. So the band basically self-produce on these next 3 albums, and it has mixed results. Let's start with that. This is the wobbly bit we've got to that I mentioned earlier, which I don't begrudge the band. Any bands that goes for as long as this band does, releasing albums as consistently as this band does, who tours as much as this band does, releases a couple of wobblies here and there. But it's not all bad. It's not all bad. So yeah, let's get into it. So Tapehead, it was released on Metal Blade Records in 1998. Now this is the I've shown this off before, but this is the Brutal Planet edition. I've shown many editions of this. This is a great little label, actually. So this is a gold disc. All of their albums come with this banner around, and they come with a baseball card, and it's actually a gold CD. And apparently gold CDs last longer. Basically, they don't degrade as much as other CDs do. But if you don't like that banner, don't worry, because when you turn the book round, the original artwork is there. And this is released for the next... Yeah, these 3 albums were released by Brutal Planet in this edition. And they've done the whole Nevermore back catalogue, Coroner, and a bunch of like Christian metal bands like Deliverance, Vengeance Rising, etc. So yeah, you got Ty on that one. Right, let's get into Tapehead. Tapehead really is kind of like the sequel to Dogman, really. They're back being heavy again. Opens with the fantastic Groove Machine. How long is this, by the way? This is 47 minutes. And what have we got? 12 songs. So none of the songs are particularly long. They all kind of get in, get out, do what they got to do, and get to the point. Groove Machine is a classic song. I think they pretty much open with it every show at this point. Fade is a good mid-paced track, which kind of just picks up where the last one moved. That Over and Over is a beautiful, heartbreaking song. Again, very honest and raw, like Doug delivers, like he does. He bears his soul when he sings and through his lyrics. And yeah, Over and Over is just a real beautiful song. Lupid has got a nice catchy chorus. I keep saying about Cupid, sorry, Lupid. Cupid is a nice catchy chorus. Ocean is another nice song. It's dreamy, sort of summer song, sung by Ty. A little bit of soul, beautiful. Like I say, a little bit of soul. It could be sung by, that could have been sung by Otis Redding for all I care, or Stevie Wonder, the Isley Brothers. Yeah, this is a soul song, definitely. And it even reminds me a little bit of Van Morrison, I would say, in the vocal melodies. So, yeah, this is the best of the 3. Like, things start off nicely, but things... We'll get to it. I've got another EP here. Where is this? Oh, Fade. I've got the single Fade there. Need good B-sides on this. Looks like live tracks. Friends. Oh, right. We got... Right. Which leads us to the next album. Got a B-side from Pound Hound. Right, so... 1998 would have been a good year if you were a King's X fan, because not only did you get a new album on a new record label, you also got 2 solo albums from the band. So Doug did Pound Hound, and they released their first album. Massive grooves from the electric church of the psycho-funkadelic grungelism rock music. and Ty Tabor did his first album, Moonflower Love. I'll take that out so it doesn't. This is where I get confused with the record labels as well, because this one comes with a baseball card. Oh, it's Brutal Planet Records. They just didn't do the gold edition. Because, yeah, I've got the same thing here. Cool foil effect there. Right, so basically Pound Hounds, at this point, each member's brought different songs to the table and they kind of whittled them down into what songs they would use. And Doug basically just had he was saying that Ty would bring like 6 songs, Jerry would bring 3 songs, he would bring an album as well. He'd have like 15 songs, and then bit by bit, we use this. And he basically just had a load of songs left over and he just recorded them. And it was released under the name Pound Hound. But Jerry drums on half of the tracks on this, and also so does Shannon Larkin, who Rough Child America, Ugly Kid Joe, Amen, and now you know him as the drummer in Godsmack. So yeah, if you're a fan of Shannon Larkin on drums, check this album out. And also, yeah, Ty did a solo album. He did do an album that he just independently released, and Brian from Metal Blade Records liked it, but yeah, he recorded the songs properly. I think most of this is songs from that album re-recorded with a couple of new ones thrown in. But yeah, this was originally released on Metal Blade Records as well. But Jerry drums on this one as well. I'm pretty sure of it. No, I was wrong. Alan Doss drums on it. I don't know what made me think that. But yeah, Pound Hound. You if you're going to get a King's X collection, you need the 2 Pound Hound albums as well, because Jerry drums on them. I could have sworn Jerry drums on some of Ty's solo albums as well. This is the second Pound Hound album. I wonder if... yeah, Jerry Caskill drums on this one as well. So yeah, Jerry drums on both of these albums. So if you're going to get a King's X collection, you kind of need this one as well. And yeah, Alan, I don't know what made me think that. Maybe... I don't know. I thought Jerry drummed on one of Ty's solo albums as well. Anyway, right, this is the amount I'm going to go into for now when it comes to solo albums and side projects, because I was going to include solo albums and side projects in this video, but solo albums, side projects... Basically, Doug, Ty, well, both Ty Tabor and Doug Pennock, both of them at this point have done more albums. I think Ty's done more solo albums as he's done King's X albums. And the same goes for Doug. I think he's done 4 solo albums now, 2 Pound Hound albums, 2, what are they called, KXM or something? KXM, yeah, 3 KXM albums. 1... Super Shine album. This is Doug Pennock and the main guy from Trouble. Remember Trouble? Yeah, Bruce Franklin. So yeah, when it comes to solo albums and side projects, I would have been here all night. So at a later date, if you want me to do a separate sequel to this video where I talk about solo albums and side projects, let me know in the comments, and I will do it eventually. So yeah, Tapehead is a good album. Getting back into it, Tapehead is a good album, and I think it's slightly behind, but the sequel really to Dogman. If you like that era of the band, if that's your favourite album, check out Tapehead. It kind of sandwiches Ear Candy really, because you've got these 2 heavy albums, while Ear Candy's got a mellow album in the middle. But this is the start of a new era. So yeah. Digression for a couple of solo albums, and then we get the second album of the Metal Blade era, and this is in 2000, and this is Come Back Home, Mr. Bulbous. Same sort of thing, Brutal Planet edition. Get a baseball card. Doug's on this one, and this is the original artwork inside. The album title means nothing. They just thought it sounded funny. Let's just call it something weird for the sake of it, and the album artwork was made to match the album title. Now this is a weird album, very experimental. Starts off good. Some of the experimental stuff works, some of it doesn't. Some of it has aged well, some of it hasn't. The good outweighs the bad. This is a good album to have in the collection. When you listen to the whole back catalogue, you see that this album was needed to be made, and you see the good it has in order to what develops later. But it don't mean it's great. Yeah, so let's get into it. Fishbowl, weird song. Weird spoken words. A good chorus that kind of ties it all together and kind of reminds you that you're listening to a King's X album, but the rest of the song is just weird. Julia has got like a real dark tone to it in the guitar, which is pretty cool. The song's got a bit of a sort of dark it sort of trudges along, similar to Nevermind's Something Along the Way. She's Gone Away. There's Ty singing on that one. A nice chorus. It's a slow song. Marshmallow Field is a nice track by Doug. When You're Scared, it's sort of got a slow, chunky groove to it, but with a soaring chorus. Nice harmonising between Doug and Ty. There's a track called Charlie Sheen, which they just said Charlie Sheen because it rhymed and it fit the melody. They just and they couldn't think of, and there's Charlie Sheen and it fit, so they just used it. You see where we're going now? Let's just say Charlie Sheen because it fits. Let's just call the album Come Back Home, Mr. Bulbous, because it's a bit weird and wacky. The band are kind of directionless and don't quite know what they want to do at this point, keeping in mind that they're making solo albums on the side. Smudge is a great song, actually. Builds up in the verse. Doug's sort of doing this rap, or rather spoken word. Heavy chorus, heavy riff towards the end. Pretty cool. Bittersweet. Mellow track. Beautiful. It's got a beautiful lead on it and a nice solo riff. The sort of melody of the riff is the chorus, if that makes sense. There's moments of greatness on this album, but overall it is inconsistent. It kind of starts and stops. It doesn't really find a rhythm. It doesn't quite know what it wants to be. This, for me, is the low point of the band. Next up, same label, same thing. The experimentation carries on. And, in 2001, we have Manic Moonlight. And, get there. Same sort of thing. Baseball card. Jerry this time. And here's the original artwork. I do like this artwork, actually. It's kind of like cool, sort of night cafe, trendy art gallery kind of artwork. Right, you've got pretty much the same thing on this album, but on this, as with the last album, they are experimenting with drum loops and industrial stuff and experimenting with different song structures, a little bit of rapping, a little bit of this and that, but we get better results on this album. So there's a heavy use of electronic loops. Believer, the opening track is quite jammy in a 70s kind of way, but it's good. The title track, Manic Moonlight, on the second song, is good, soaring, heavy, sort of strumming guitars on that. They sound awake again on this album. But then you get a track like Yeah, where the lyrics, it's just literally just a jam where they just go, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the lyrics, yeah. Bit weird. False Alarm is a great song. It's False Alarm. It's a sad and heartbreaking song, really. Doug tells a story in the book about him falling in love with someone who just wanted to be his friend, and it took him 2 years to get over it. It was a false alarm. He read into it something that wasn't there. Static, though. Awesome song. One of the best songs by King's X. Total deep cut. It comes off with this tribal song, like tribal beat, and then it's bass, you know, and then it builds up, and Doug just goes, I don't wanna do this anymore, and then the song just builds up, and then it comes back round. I don't want. And it goes round and round and round, and it goes off, and then comes back to the I don't want to do this anymore, and then. And then and it builds up to the, I don't want to do this anymore. I would love to see them do it live right in the middle of the set as well. It's awesome track. And it's tracks like that where you kind of go through the weird experimental stuff. Like, yeah, this is where it works. This is where it comes together. This is the payoff. But yeah, Static is a totally a deep cut. Skeptical Winds is funky. With, again, spoken words by Doug, but it's nice and heavy at the end. The other side builds up, but once it gets to where it's going, it's pretty good. It's nice and heavy. Vegetable. Again, this is quite jammy, and this is in the band's set even today. This is the one that's played mostly from this album, although I wish it was static. But yeah, it's quite jammy. It's funky. His main riff is funky, and yeah, it just goes off on one at the end. Goes into this big jam, and apparently they expand on it. They can play it quite a while when they play it live. Jenna is another great song, and yeah, Water Ceremony is just like a little interlude bit that they finish off. But overall, I like this album much better. It's just as experimental as the last, but it works. And yeah, this works more. And the band are they're more inspired on this album, and it's a lot more energetic. So we come to the end of this era, really. Yeah, the problem with... Well, there's good and bad. So this is a trilogy of albums that was on Metal Blade. The last thing that after this, Metal Blade did a live album, a double live album, which I've not got. But it's not like a concert. It's just a compilation of live tracks, and there's a lot of acoustic songs in the middle as well. But yeah, that kind of. But this is kind of the dodgy period for King's X. Mainly because I think this Tabor is producing. I think these albums would have been better with an outsider sort of giving them advice, being an editor, telling them to tidy up, cut that bit, speed that up, slow that down. You don't need that. Drop that, you know? Tidy it all up. I think it would have been thing. But yeah, the band were self-producing and didn't have an editor, is what I'll put that down to. But the good does outweigh the bad. And trust me, folks, if this is as bad as it gets, you've got nothing to worry about. I would say, yeah, these two albums for me are the least good in the whole catalogue. They're not bad albums. Just if you're going to get into King's X, buy these last, is what I would say. So, as I said earlier, the band released those 3 albums on Metal Blade, and then they would go on to release a live album, and that would end their time with Metal Blade. But before that live album came out, they did a self-released album on Ty Tabor's own record label, and this is Black Like Sunday. This is all songs, apparently, that sneak preview, The Edge, anything they basically recorded or wrote before Out of the Silent Planet. So they basically just re-recorded a bunch of old songs. And yeah, this artwork was done by someone who won a competition. I don't know if it was through their fan club or whatever, but they put out a competition, designed the album cover for the next King's X album, and this is the guy that won it. See if you can find his name. Cover painting by Danny Wilson. There you go. So yeah, this was a little stopgap release, really. Apparently this is quite hard to get hold of nowadays. I mean, I didn't find it too hard to get hold of, I don't think. I think I paid a pretty penny for some of these, but mind you, I think that was mainly down to postage and packaging more than anything else. Right, so yeah, basically this is a bunch of old songs. Now, Sneak Preview, which I told you about earlier, the album they released, a couple of songs off that are on here. But you know what? It's a really good album. It's a nice, fun, easy listen. And it's a bit of a palate cleanser after the last 2 experimental albums. These songs, they're kind of naive. They're kind of simple, immature lyrically. But hats off to them for not rewriting the lyrics. They are what they are. But where the songs are simple, because they're early in the days songwriting, the band's songwriting development, I like the simplicity. I like the naivety. This is a simple album, an effortless album to listen to. And like I was saying, after the last 2 experimental albums, this is a bit of a palate cleanser. Black Like Sunday, the opening track. Kind of typical King's X, really. Rock Pile has an almost hardcore punk feel to it. It's quite fun. Danger Zone, yeah, like that reminds me a little bit of Weezer. Is I'm a man and I'm a boy. And I want to be happy. During the verse, it's always got like a ska punk feel to it as well. And then when it goes into the chorus, it reminds me of Weezer. Working Man apparently is a cover, which is actually really catchy, but I just spotted it here. Working Man. All songs by King's X, except Working Man by Dan McCollum and Doug Pinnick. Oh, so Doug wrote it at least. Just whoever he wrote it with wasn't in King's X. Looks like there's some cool photos in here. I don't know why there's a calendar. Live shots. Yeah, that's pretty cool, that one. Where were we? Working Man. Yeah, Dreams has got like a sort of 90s funk to it. I think Red Hot Chili Peppers, early Faith No More sort of thing. Fishbone. Screamer is very psychedelic with a tribal beat too. It's a nice soul song, which I mentioned earlier. It's mainly driven by the vocal melodies that don't know where to look anymore. Can't find you. Johnny. It starts off. Johnny is where they're trying to replicate or they're influenced by the Police. So there's got like a ska reggae sort of start to it, the way that the Police used to do. But it goes off on a big jam at the end. It kind of goes off on one. But yeah, overall, a really fun album. And it's easy to listen to. So we're coming into the later era of the band now. Yeah, another new record label and another new producer. If you bear with me 1 minute while I just find my feet. I'm trying to find this producer's name. I didn't recognise his name when I looked it up, but then when I googled him, he's got a back catalogue as long as your arm. So Michael Wagoner, and I can't. He's done so many albums I can't even remember them. So right, so this album is 50 minutes long, and this is 14 tracks, and this is Ogre Tones. Now this is kind of a return to form for the band, although it's not quite perfect, but we'll get into that as we go along. So yeah, this was released in 2005 under a new label, and again, new producer. Well, they needed a producer, and I think Ty was quite happy or quite relieved to just be able to concentrate on playing and let someone else worry about the mixing and producing and recording side of it, all that comes with it. I haven't even touched this, have I? I have to right. Ogre Tones. Alone. Opening track. Catchy as hell. Return to form. Modern tropes in this one, though. So this is typical King's X. Awesome chorus, but there's a bit where it's like Doug screams as the song kicks in. Like, yeah! You know? Like we're in a hardcore band all of a sudden. And there's a real big breakdown in it. Like, you know? It's like a real thick, chunky riff. It's reminiscent of Seven Dust. Like, we're in the modern era now, where King's X are catching up to what's going on at the time. But, yeah, great songs. It's heavy, with all the usual King X tropes that you know and love. And it's great to hear, like, a modern heavy song from them. Stay opens up nice and is big. It's settling into, like, a clean verse. So it opens up big and heavy, but Ginger sort of settles in nicely. It's a typical sort of second track, really, but it's nice and big and heavy. Hurricane's a good song as well. Fly. A lot of these songs are quite short, actually. Some of these are just like 2.5 minutes long. They just get straight in and go for it. Fly, no matter what you do. Somebody's... Oh, yeah, no matter what you do, somebody's not going to like it. It's got a good groove on that one. Nice soulful chorus on that one. Bebop is a highlight of the album, actually. It's just got a nice groove to it and big chorus, and they even chuck in what babaloo bab or what bamboo, which is the title. Bebop's a great song. Then you've got the gorgeous Honesty by it's just an acoustic song by Ty, and beautiful acoustic ballad. But the real highlight of this album is the last 3 songs. Well, I say it's the last 3 songs. We'll get to that. So tracks 10, 11 and 12. So we get Getaway, a song about questioning God. It's a beautiful melancholy song with a beautiful long solo by Ty on it. Then we get Mud, which is a tribute to Doug's uncle. He used to call him Mud. And it's a slow, heavy track. It's a sad song. And then, Sooner or Later. Where is that? That's a nice sort of epic 7-minute track in the middle of it all. And so you got these 3 awesome tracks that kick off they just climax the album and bring it to a close. But then, so the album so you got the big sort of epic closer with Sooner or Later, and then Mud could be the nice epilogue, where it's a sad tribute to the fallen uncle. And then for some reason they've re-recorded Goldilocks, that classic from the first album. They've re-recorded that. Why? Apparently the producer made them do it and was like really insistent on it. But again, why? Pointless. It's good, don't get me wrong, it's a good re-recording, but didn't really need it. And then you got Bam at the end, which goes bang, and it just rings out feedback. And then you got this sort of monologue about a TV describing itself. It's like, I can give you entertainment in every different language. I can make you cry. I can make you scared. I can be a thing. I give you information. I do this. I do that. And it's just like this big thing about TV. You're just like, what's the point of that? So you got 14 tracks when all you needed was 12. But whatever. It's a really good album, and there's really good songs on it. There's a lot of there's a bit of filler on this album. Let's tell it how it is, and but the good stuff more than makes up for it. The good outweighs the bad. So Bebop and Honesty are 2 of the, and Alone. In all fairness, Alone, Bebop and Honesty are some of the band's best songs. But Getaway, Sooner or Later, and Mud, that's a real 3-track winning streak, really, to close the album off. But everything's good on it, really. It could just do a bit of tidying up, is all. What year was this? This was 2005, wasn't it? So next up, I think it's 2009? No, 2008. This one's slightly confusing, this title. Next up, in 2008, we get 15 in Roman numerals there. Because it's not their 15th album, it's their 15th release, because they're including live albums. But this is a nice digipack edition I've got here. And I love this album. This and the next album, really, I'll say what I'm going to say when I get to the next album, actually. So yeah, this is sort of like it is a return to form, but it's got its problems, that album, which I told you about. They're all addressed on this one. This is a much more tidy and concise album. It's the same producer, by the way, still Michael Wagoner, and it could be Wagner for all I know. I don't know where he's from, but yeah, every track on this is just great, really. Pray, that boom, 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 and it's it's heavy, catchy, great lyrics on that song as well. Amazing uplifting chorus. Pray for me. And yeah, what a way to open up an album. But Blue, Repeat Myself, all fantastic songs. Rocket Ship is a funny number. Jerry sings a song on this one. Julie, which I didn't like to begin with, but it's grown on me now. It's got a bit of a Beatles feel to it. All Right is just a... Put All Right on in the morning, and you're gonna skip to work. You're gonna feel good, and that's what's great about King's X, is that they're completely uplifting, and they make you feel better about the world. What other... Move. That's what I wanted to talk to you about. What a fantastic song! Opens up with this beautiful sort of ambient licks on the guitar, backed up by bass. Doug's heavy as fuck bass, dun, 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 dun. And it just builds up. Great drums beat by Jerry, and it just builds up nicely. Dun, 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 dun. And then when it kicks into the chorus, it's just sublime. Absolutely brilliant. Go Tell Somebody. What a brilliant song. Again, another uplifting chorus. Oh, I didn't realise these two were bonus tracks. I just thought they were on the album. But yeah, Love and Rockets and No Lies, just a funny song at the end. But yeah, I mean, this shows the band coming full circle and doing what they're best at, really. And then we get 12 years between albums. Let's have a look at it. Yeah, 15 was released in 2008. And then we get the band's last album up until now. I hope it's not their last album, but if this does happen to be their last album, I think they've bailed out quite well. But what is it, 12 years? Do the maths. 14 years. Yeah, 2008, 2022. Yeah, 14 years between albums. Now, the band never split up. They were just doing different projects. Doug was doing KXM. He did 3 albums with them in a row. Ty was doing his solo albums. Jerry Gaskell's done 2 solo albums, and he's drummed on a bunch of other stuff. I think at this point, King's X were pretty much just done. They just weren't inspired. Apparently, they would tour occasionally, and there was still a live act. But obviously the lockdowns, you know, less said about that the better, and that probably impacted it. Apparently the songs were done. It was just never. It was a case of getting around to recording them, and I believe Ty and Jerry both had health issues as well. Let me get into. I think it says this on on Wikipedia here. The Roman numerals. Although King's X had continued to be active in the years after its release, 15 was the band's last year. Oh no, maybe not. I thought there was a bit more of an explanation. I do believe 2 of the band members, I think it was... Yeah, both of them had health issues that they needed surgery and operations, and that added on to it. Yeah, it happens. It happens. There was a 10-year gap with Testament between the Gathering and the formation of Damnation. That was because Chuck Billy got cancer. That was like 2 years written off. Little things like that, it adds up. So, yeah, like I say, the band never actually ceased to exist. They did still tour occasionally, but they were wrapped up in other projects, and some health issues came into it, and it just added up to 14 years. So, this is the last album up to date. This is 3 Sides of One. Remember, they're not a Christian band, but they call their album 3 Sides of One, you know. But, cool artwork. Cool photos in there as well, and yeah, I return to form or whatever. But like the band had a continuous. Let's get that so the camera focuses, and so this is a new album in its own right, a new album and a new era because so much time has passed. And how does it sound? Well, bloody gorgeous. Basically, is the this is King's X. It's their 13th album. It's produced by Michael Parnin. It's 46 minutes, so it's pretty much straight to the point. And it's a band just feeling confident and just rested and settled into themselves, you know. And I saw like a 3-way stream, like a Zoom thing, where someone interviewed the band, and all 3 band members were there, but they were all in different locations on this Zoom call. And Jerry summed it up. He went, I'm just glad there's an album at all. I'm just glad we did it. I'm just glad to be with you. And that's how this album is. It's greeting an old friend. It's having a good drink, a good dinner, just seeing a pal that you've not seen in a long time, and wondering why you don't see each other more often. Really, opens up with a fantastic "Let It Rain," which just opens with this bow, bow, and then just dun, dun, bum, bum, the drums kick in, and then it kicks in with Doug's vocals, and then he just goes, "Let it rain," and then down, 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 and then the riff kicks in, and the song just comes together. And yeah, it's a slow burning opener, but again, when it gets to where it's going, it's brilliant. Now it's funny because I was watching interviews with Doug Pinnock before this album come out, and they were saying, like, when are you going to do a new King's X album? And he was, you go through that phase where you always asked, is the old band getting back together? And he was always saying, like, there's an album coming. I don't know when we're going to record it, but the songs are there. We're good. We're not split up. It's not a case of if, it's a case of when. But what was funny, I mean, Doug Pinnock is in his 70s now. This is amazing. And he said, he went, basically all I listen to now is Meshuggah. A 70-year-old. I'd love my granddad to listen to Meshuggah, but I'm listening to Meshuggah and the Beatles. That's pretty much all I listen to at the moment. I love Meshuggah and the Beatles, and I'm trying to think, how can I combine Meshuggah with the Beatles? Well, when you listen to the riff of Flood and is it Take the Time? I can't remember what song it is. I think it's Take the Time. But the riff on those, if I go through the booklet, it might have writing credits. But the riffs on that, you can kind of tell that they got a Meshuggah feel to it. It's like a dun 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 dun. You can tell he's brought it to the table, and there's not that I can see anyway. I think it's Take the Time. And yeah, you can hear that Meshuggah influence, and it did make me smile when I heard it, because as soon as those riffs kick in, I think, yeah, that's what he was talking about. So you got Flood again. It kicks in with this kind of Meshuggah type riff, and then with the vocals, you've got like string arrangements. I don't know if it's done on keyboard or with an orchestra, but it sounds like strings. And then it just kicks into this heavy, dense riff again. It's fantastic. Nothing But the Truth is a nice mellow song sung by Doug. Absolutely gorgeous, just fantastic. Then you got Give It Up, which is a nice uplifting number with a good chorus, nice driving. Doom, 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 doom. Whoa, ho, ho. Give it up, give it up. Like this, all singing it together. All God's Children's a nice slow mellow number. I can't remember. Is Take the Time the Meshuggah one, or is that one Ty sings on his own? Swipe Up, that's it. Right. Take the Time is Ty song, which is nice and mellow. Then we get Festival. Swipe Up is the Meshuggah one. Now it's falling into place now. Yeah, nice and heavy. I get, to be honest, this album, She Called Me Home, and it kind of drives off a little bit towards the end, but it doesn't matter because the songs are hardly bad, and the first like 6, 7, 8 songs are worth the admission alone, and it's just good to hear them together again at this point. Like at this point, a band that's been going this long, you're happy just to get anything from them. I don't really care how great it is or how it matches up to classic albums. So we got there in the end, folks. We are at the end of the that's what I've got to tell you. After 15, the band released a live album live in London. This is a DVD and 2 CDs recorded, like I say, in London at the Electric Ballroom. I wasn't at the show, but I have been to the Electric Ballroom a bunch of times, so I can kind of psychologically pretty much gather what it was like. The DVD is fantastic, brilliantly filmed. The 2 CD, like the audio as well. I've listened to the album and watched the show, and yeah, both the same, but both are fantastic. Banner on fantastic form. The audience are eating out of their hand, and yeah, that's well worth getting as well. Live all over the place. I've not got. I'll pick it up at some point, but I've not got it. So yeah, anyway, right, we're at the end of the catalogue. I'm now gonna sum stuff up for you. So, how am I gonna do this? Right, I'm gonna give you objective and my personal opinion. My favourite albums are right. I don't dislike any of them, but my favourites are Out of the Silent Planet. I absolutely adore this album. I really, really like Dogman, and I would say Ear Candy is the underrated gem. And I also really love Three Sides of One. Now, that's me. If you are curious and you're not sure what to get or where do I start, I would tell you, right, yeah. I would. Do you know what? I would say start off with the first 3 albums. Now, actually, you go to HMV, you can get these like album series box set things. Let me see if I've got one. Yeah, like kind of like this sort of thing. Yeah. I mean, you open it up and you get like these like slip disc things. I think they're called original album series. Here goes another one. That sort of thing, yeah. HMV. You can get one of them of King's X, and it's actually the first 5 albums. So in that, you get, you get Out of the Silent Planet, Gretchen Goes to Nebraska, Faith, Hope, Love, King's X, and so you get the first 5 albums, and you can get it for next to nothing, $12.99 or whatever. So if you're new to King's X, get that, because the first 5 albums pretty much is the golden age. But if we're going to go thingy, start with the first 3, and do you know what? I would actually say go get the last 2, then work your way in the middle. So I'd say start with the first 3, get the last 2. Then get Dogman. Then get Tapehead. And then fill the gaps at your leisure. But get these 2 last. There you go. I think that was pretty much it. So to do a summary, this is the first 4 albums, is the band finding their sound, solidifying their sound with the Sam Taylor production. Dogman, Brendan O'Brien brings them into the modern age, nice and heavy, nice and live. Ear Candy, bit more mellow but good. There are we. So then we have the experimental self-produced years. Re-recording of old songs, kind of reminiscent of Incesticide by Nirvana. Nice simple songs but an easy listen. It's not essential though, get that one towards the end. Return to Form though does have some filler. The last 2 albums, these last 2 albums are King's X just being King's X. They know what they're good at, they know what works, they're settled into themselves. Yeah, this is King's X being King's X, just plain and simple. We're well acquainted by now, the audience know what they're getting, in a good way though. Like, this is some of their best material is on these 2 albums. So start at the beginning, start at the end, and then work your way in the middle is a great way, I think. But with that being said, I did my my wife's best friend, but my friend as well, Rosa. She lives quite far away, and it's about a 2-hour drive. And I played her live in London on the drive home. I dropped her home one night, and she'd never heard of the band and was raving about them the next day. She was like, who is this band? Just like I said at the beginning, where's this band been all my life? That's what she was like. She was like, this band are fantastic. And yeah, she messaged me the next day going, I'm listening to Live in London. So maybe if you're new to the band, just jump in with that, because you get a good overview. I mean, it's practically a perfect set list. Yeah. I think that's just about it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for getting this far. And if you do want me to do a second video talking about all the band's side projects and solo albums, let me know in the comments if you would like that, if I haven't already bored you enough. Oh well, we got there in the end, didn't we? It took me ages. I wanted to do this for so long, but I'm so glad I've done it. So yeah, King's X, amazing band, like I say. Uplifting, inspiring, soulful, beautiful, beautiful music by a fantastic band. You need them in your life. Get into King's X. Right, I'm going to finish this beer off. Thanks a lot, everyone. Cheers.